Hey, we're going to talk to you about graphing, or sorry, not graphing, but completing the square. The first thing you want to do when you complete the square for a conic section is you want to group the x terms together and the y terms together here. They're already grouped together for us, so we can proceed. Okay, the next thing I want to do is I want to factor out the number in front of the x squared and y squared. So I want to factor out the 16, and I want to factor out the 25. So I'm going to factor out the 16 from the x terms, and I'm going to factor out the 25 from the y terms. What I mean by y terms, x terms is the x squared and the x. What I mean by y terms is the y squared and the y. So when I factor out 16, that's as if I am dividing the thing that I'm factoring out of by 16. What's left over goes inside my parentheses. So 16x squared divided by 16 is x squared. 96x divided by 16 is 6x. Okay, once I do that, I leave space in my parentheses because I'll need that later. I do the same thing with my y squared. Okay, I'm going to divide the y squared by 25, and I'm going to divide the y by 25. And in doing that, I end up with 25 outside, and then in parentheses I have what's left over. So you have y squared minus 8y. Leave a little space. You still have your plus 144. Now my 144 I don't deal with until later. I'll have to do some combining. So then the next step is to, after I have that, is to take the middle term and divide by 2. The middle term is the inside the parentheses. It's the term with just a variable next to it, x or y in this case. So it's our 6x or our 8y. That's what we're saying when we refer to middle term. So if I divide it by 2, 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So I add 9 inside. If I do the same thing here with the y part of the my information, I have negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 squared is positive 16. Now keep in mind, when you divide by 2 and square it, this number will always, these numbers will always be positive. They will always be positive. Now, in order to keep my equation balanced, whatever I added to my equation, I must also subtract. So to figure out what I added, I look at my first parenthesis, the x squared plus 6x plus 9. Notice you have a number in front of it of 16. So if I were to distribute into the parenthesis, I would see that the difference from my original line to this line would be 16 times positive 9. So at the end, I need to add 16 times negative 9. So whatever the positive guy added, I also subtract. And then you also see you have, with the y squared minus 8y plus 16, you have a 25 in front of that parenthesis. And it would be 25 times positive 16, so I need to do 25 times negative 16. Okay, and so that's what I would actually add. I would actually add to. I would actually add that to. I would actually add that together. So I would add these guys together here to get a constant there. So if I were to continue. Now that I have my term inside, I can factor. So what multiplies to give me 9 but adds to give me 6? Well, that's 3 and 3. So x plus 3 times x plus 3 is the same as x plus 3 in parentheses squared. And what multiplies to give me positive 16 but adds to give me negative 8, negative 4, and negative 4. So I have 25 times y minus 4 in parentheses squared. Another way to look at it is inside your parentheses you have x and then whatever you got when you divided by 2, and y and what you got whenever you divided by 2. Then from there, I simply take the plus 144 plus the 16 times negative 9, and then the 25 times negative 16. Okay, so 16 times negative 9 is negative 144, and 25 times negative 16 is negative 400, so 144 minus 144 minus 400 leaves me with negative 400. So I have that's equal to 0. And then in order to write it as a Cartesian equation, I have to take the constant of negative 400 and move it to the other side. In doing so, my result is 16 times x plus 3 in parentheses squared plus 25 times y minus 4 in parentheses squared is equal to 400. Then the last step is to divide by 400. Because this is an ellipse, the reason I know it's an ellipse is because the coefficients in front of the x squared and y squared are the same sign, but the numbers are different. And so because of that, I now need, the last thing I do is divide by 400. Dividing by 400 will get my equation equal to 1, which is the standard equation of an ellipse. So I divide by 400. When I divide by 400, I'm not dividing the inside of the parentheses by 400, but I'm dividing the outside by 400. Okay, 16 divided by 400 is 1 over 25. The 1 is here, but it's understood if you don't write it. And then 25 divided by 25 divided by 400 is 1 over 16. Again, you have 16 on the bottom. There's a 1 there, but it's understood if you don't write it. And 400 divided by 400 is equal to 1. Okay. So that is, in general, how you complete the square. Now, keep in mind if they give you something like this. Okay. Notice that you have a x squared missing. So this is a parabola. So when you have a parabola, it's the only one that does not equal 1 when you're done. So it's not like an ellipse or a hyperbola that equals 1 when you're done. So what I would do is I would not bother the x, but I would still complete the square like normal. I would factor out the 2 from the y squared and the 28, and then I would then take 14 and divide by 2 to get 7, and then I square it. 7 squared is 49. Okay. Then I identify what I actually added. Well, I added 2 times positive 49, so I also need to add 2 times negative 49, which is, in essence, I'm subtracting. Okay. When I do that, y squared plus 14y plus 49 can be written as what multiplies to give me 49 but adds to give me 14? Well, 7 and 7. So it can be written as y plus 7 squared. And then I can put negative 8. And then I add 2 times negative 49 is negative 98. If I put those together, I get negative 106. So I end up with my final answer, which is x equals 2 times x plus 7, y plus 7 in parentheses squared minus 106. Hopefully this helps with graphing. With completing the square. It's been a long Friday. This helps with completing the square.